gang! Today we're going to be talking about wokescolds and the concept behind them and why wokescolds aren't actually a problem. So what is a wokescold? Well, a wokescold is just the retreading of the term SJW, or social justice warrior. And I don't believe they're any sort of a problem on the left. I'm probably what you would call a wokescold. I'm not big on using slurs like the R word or the N word on stream just to win an argument, apparently. So the term wokescold became very popular with a leftist streamer, Vosh, and his cohort, Xander Hall. I don't believe wokescolds are really a thing. I believe it's a scaremongering term used by mostly white cishet men who want to get away with making other people in the community feel left out, marginalized people especially, such as people in the LGBTQI plus community, or racial minorities, or even intersex people, whoever. So these streamers like Vosh and Xander Hall really love using slurs like the R word, and they're just kind of cringy in that respect and disgusting. I know I'm pretty sure Vosh is a big proponent of using the R word. I believe his logic is like, if we use their way of speaking, like meaning the right, we could convince more of them to come to our side. I don't agree with this, as will become apparent. So when we try to write off the feelings of people, and I see this almost especially with black people on the left, when white creators are like, you darn wokescolds telling me not to use the darn N-word, and writing those people off as, like, crazy, which is another ableist word when used against people who are simply just trying to tell you not to say the N-word on your Twitch streams to thousands of people every day. Well, not every day, I don't know how often these people stream, but wokescolds aren't really a problem. In fact, I would argue they are incredibly good for our community. Why do I say that? Well, I say that because becoming aware of other communities' issues and other communities' sensitivities is important, I believe, to community building and making other people join our side. I'm gonna be honest, I don't really care about the feelings of a white boy who I told not to say the R word, or a white boy who wants to say the N word so bad. When we push out marginalized people, like the disabled, like black people, like anybody who you term as a wokescold, you're making the community inherently more insular and inherently less likely, in my opinion, to bring more people over to our side. For me, my politics bases itself on the idea that everybody should belong and everybody has a space within our community and that everybody should have the right to speak. And when you use slurs for these minority groups, you're effectively telling them your opinion does not matter, and I'm going to continue using these words that I know harm and hurt you because I feel it is my right as an asshole to use these words. So they talk about this idea of wokescolds shutting down conversations, and I don't believe that's true at all. I believe wokescolds, or whatever you class as wokescolds, want inherently more discussion on the left, but they don't want it from you, a white man, or cishet white dude, on the topics that you are speaking on. Because how can these people feel safe in their opinions and what they want to say when the people the left holds up as leaders, or the online left really holds up as leaders, people like Vosh, people like Xander Hall, use these slurs. So all of these people who attack these people called wokescolds they say that they want more discussion on the left and that they want a free speech. They want to say whatever they want. And they also argue that using these slurs is using the language of the right to move right people, like people on the right, to our side, to the left. And I disagree that this is in any way helpful. I think we need to shut down the use of slurs and the use of harmful language and bigotry in our communities, because largely the best people I've seen on the left are these marginalized people. I've seen marginalized people do more mutual aid than white dudes who stream on on Twitch. And it's sad because these guys act like they're so important and that they're doing so much for the left, when really they're actively harming us and actively pushing people away that we need to listen to, like the disabled, like marginalized people. And we need to protect those people. We need to protect marginalized groups more than we need to protect the feelings of this poor cishet white guy who wants to say the R word on his Twitch stream. I feel that we as leftists have a duty to protect the marginalized people, to protect black people especially, because when we talk about why leftism is important, why we need to have workers' rights, the people that are most affected by that are largely black people. Black people are affected by poverty, mostly in this country, more than any other group that I can think of. I could be wrong. I could be thinking that indigenous people have higher rates of poverty, but I don't know. I'll put it on screen, whoever wins that horrible statistic. So, I'm sorry, the wind is getting pretty bad and I don't want you to have to listen to that. So, what I've been saying is, I feel that we need to protect marginalized people more than any other group of, like, we need to protect them more than we do, like, white cishet men on the left who really badly want to say slurs, who really badly believe that they have a right to use slurs because it, quote, brings people over to our side. I disagree. Or who say the N-word tactically in an argument to win, which is big ol' yikes and kind of grody and disgusting. And we don't really, I feel like the online left doesn't really listen to these marginalized groups. There's definitely an echo chamber, like on BreadTube especially, of mostly white men, who largely take over the discussion and largely set the tone for the online left. When we look in, like, on real life, not to say that the internet is less valuable, but, like, in person, the majority of, like, mutual aid groups or protests for leftist causes I see that they are largely made up of people of color. Mutual aid is largely done by people of color, again, to protect their communities. And we talk about on the left that we need to protect workers' rights and we need to end poverty and this and that and Medicare for all, but the people that are largely affected by these problems, like not having access to health care or living in poverty, are largely people of color, and yet we exclude them constantly from the discussion when it comes to leftism, especially online. And we never really talk about online leftist action that is taken by people of color. Like, yes, we've been talking about the Black Lives Matter movement, but I've seen online the majority of people who get the most likes, who get the most retweets, who get the most attention speaking about the Black Lives Matter movement are largely white people. And when we create an environment that excludes these people by allowing the use of slurs against these marginalized groups, we are effectively telling them, this is a whites-only club. You're not allowed. We're going to continue using slurs for your ethnic group because it, quote, brings over people to our side, people that historically are known for harming your marginalized group, but we don't care because we just want those guys on our side. And they'll cite how they move people over to the left. Like, I know Xander Hall made a whole video about how he used to be on the right and how he moved to the left. And while I think that's a very valid point of view and a very valid experience, I don't feel it's necessarily new or fresh. The majority of white leftists I know, quote, had a right phase, who had a, quote, bigotry phase, and that's not, I don't think that's as good of a look as people think it is, saying that you used to be on the right. For me, that's embarrassing, and I think we all used to hold, like, slightly shitty views, and I think that's totally fine, especially when you were younger, but, like, actively championing that group of people and you want to move those people over to our side, I don't know if I feel comfortable with that. Knowing that some guy in high school who used to bully me because I was Jewish is going to be on our side in the fight, I don't know if I would feel inherently comfortable with him. And I know it's very valid for these people to change, but I don't think it's right to place the blame and the onus on marginalized groups to be, quote, the bigger people, when those people, again, as I said, historically harm people of marginalized groups. And I don't think it's unfair to say that marginalized groups on the left are totally valid in having spaces that don't include cis-het white dudes or cis-het white women, because they know that having those people in those discussions could derail the entire conversation. Like, how many black creators do you know online that have said something like, white people do XYZ and it annoys me, and there's like 50 white people in the comments that are like, well, not me, I'm a special white boy who don't do this, which is so, ooh. I think that's really all I want to say today. If you are a black content creator and you want to be featured on my channel, or you want to have a discussion with me, leave a comment or message me on Twitter. I'll put my Twitter, like, right here. That's my Twitter. Look at that. Big fat Twitter. And you can follow me and send me a DM and we can talk. But I think that's it for today. Be good to y'all. Be kind. Please leave comments. Please leave likes. And share this with your friends, because the algorithm is not the greatest. And I only got about 80 views on my last video, which is pretty good for me. But I do want to spread my message to more people. Thank you so much. Thank you for watching. Be good. Bye.